Ms. Miller, you've summoned the defendant, Mr. White, to court to prove to him that he is not your biological father, even though he has believed he's your father your entire life.
Yes, Your Honor.
The man you now say is your father is waiting in the hallway and will join us in court in a moment. Mr. White,
Are we blaming the mom? Is the mom sleeping with multiple men at the same time? Is that how this happens? Oh my goodness. Imagine accusing your mother of being a freak elite.
2 weeks ago, that your daughter revealed to you that you may not be her father. You are 100% certain that you fathered Ms. Miller and plan to prove it in court today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Miller, how is it that 2 different men are in court believing that they're your father?
That's what we need to know.
I was raised around both men, but mainly around Mr. Wright. I spent most time with Mr. Wright. I used to go over to his house twice out the month, and I hardly spent any time with Mr. White. So up until the age of me being a teenager, I called both of them dad. And once I found out, which was the day where my mom and my grandmother was in the bedroom, and I said I wanted to go to my dad's house, Mr. Wright. So my mom, her back was turned to me, and she said, "I don't know who your dad is." And
why would she say that? Tell me why that mom would say that.
That she believed more so that Mr. Wright is than Mr. White is. And I've known this since I was a teenager. So at this point, I feel selfish because I continue to call both Mr. Wright and Mr. White my dad, and neither of them knew of each other until 2 weeks ago.
Neither men knew of the other one. So
she was bouncing in between each father her whole life, but these 2 men never knew each other existed. How did the mom balance that?
Ms. Miller, tell me exactly what happened 2 weeks ago.
Well, like I said before, I felt selfish because I didn't tell either of them, but I had to build up the nerve to actually call them, and I addressed both of them. "Hey, Dad," and I took a deep breath, and I was like, "I want you to prove that you're my dad." And Mr. White got quiet, and I asked him again, I was like, I really want to know because I don't know. And then I said, my mom told me that she doesn't really know who my father is.
So pretty much, you've been living a lie for 30 years.
Yes.
And you were told.
Ooh, at that point, just let the lie keep going. You decide to figure it out 30 years in?
As a child, you had 2 fathers.
Yes, Your Honor. It felt normal to me to call both Mr. Wright and Mr. White my dad. It felt normal.
Listen, we have lots of blended families where there's a stepfather, there's a father. People call more than one person dad, but what it sounds like, which is so confusing for a child, is you were told that you had 2 biological fathers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which we know is impossible.
It's not possible, right?
Mr. White, Ms. Miller's 30 years old. You weren't aware all of these years?
Nope.
That she was calling another man dad as well?
Nope, I don't even know who he is.
So the entire relationship, this is your little girl. This is your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you got...
She looked like him. She looks like him sitting right here. They look the same skin complexion, around the same nostril. Now I turned into Mari.
Your eyes, they drop. His eyes drop.
Yup, the eyes.
I got this call 2 weeks ago. What did you feel like?
When I got that phone call, I was wondering, where would you get this from out of 30 years? If she can find out that I'm not her father out of 30 years, somebody could have told me. And I was with her mother every night. When she was born, I was with her mother 8 years after she was born. So I'm trying to figure out, how did he get in the Miller?
And you still have no real information.
I still don't believe.
You've never seen this other man.
I know, not as I know about him.
So you lived as a family this whole time?
Right, exactly.
Until she was 8 years old.
I didn't know that. My memory is kind of guarded, but I don't remember actually living, and I probably did because...
My heart just breaks for you because I see you still trying to make sense of this. And I'm wondering, as a child, how is it that they were kept apart? How did you manage that? I mean, you had things at school, did you not?
No, well...
How did that happen that they weren't both there?
I think he probably wasn't invited to anything because she was dating him or he wasn't, and vice versa. I think that she kept them apart, which kept me knowing that, okay, I go over here, I don't mention this dad. I go over there, I don't mention
And
this
you knew
dad.
that as a child?
Yes.
Was that explained to you point blank, out in the open, this is how we do it? Or was it unwritten, unsaid, and you just knew?
It was unwritten. It's like a habit you pick up. Like,
her mom was teaching her how to be a player. Bring the mom into the courtroom. I need to hear from the source. I need to see how her mom getting down. Let her mom speak on this. Why her mom not in this courtroom at all? Show her.
once you see, I saw my mom talking to one, you were forbidden to say the other's name. So what I did as a child was just picked up on what I saw.
I'm baffled. But what would happen on Father's Day? Your mother would just have you call both men?
Well, on Father's Day, I never really had Mr. White's number like that. I didn't call him all the time, and he never had my number. I do want to apologize to Mr. White because I knew exactly where he was. But for so long, I just kept telling myself, Mr. Wright is my father.
So what you did consciously or unconsciously is you put a wall up between you and Mr. White.
Yes.
Once you began to truly feel that Mr. Wright was your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think it's time we meet this other gentleman. Will you please?
I want to meet the mom. That's who I want to meet. She want to bring out the father. Bring the mom out here. We need to hear her.
Please escort him into the courtroom.
Jerome, go get the mom. It's quiet in here.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Wright. Met Mr. White?
No, ma'am. No, young.
Last 30 years that he is Miss Miller's biological father.
I'm her father. I've been in her life for 30 years.
See, that's the thing. I feel like I've been living a double life because I don't even have like social sites now. Because if I do like family barbecues, which I spend a lot of time with Mr. Wright's side of the family, from barbecues to parties, birthdays, and I don't do that with Mr. White for the sole purpose of other family members on Mr. White's side. I didn't want them to run back and tell him, like, who is this man? Miranda's calling her dad, or to raise a lot of drama. So I just completely just close all social sites. I don't do any of that for that purpose.
So you're living a double life.
I would be mad if I was that dad. How you going to rob me of having a daughter because you don't want... How this man get to have a daughter on holidays, but I don't?
It's almost as if you're in hiding.
Yeah.
And is it because you don't want to hurt either side?
My thing is that I love them both, so I'm afraid of the outcome. I don't want to hurt anybody, and I keep telling myself it's not your fault, it's not your fault. But I feel like I am partially to blame because once I was old enough to say, okay, Mr. White, there's a possibility you're not my dad, or I could have came to Mr. Wright, which I see him often, and told him that you're not my dad, or it's a possibility there's another man. I haven't done any of that because I'm just scared, I guess.
If I was the dad, I'd be mad at my daughter. I said it. I'd be mad at my daughter. You betrayed me. You gonna sit here in front of my back and not tell me about this double life you living? Your mom a little freaky woman and you gonna sit there and trust her instead of coming to me and letting me know you might not be my daughter? I'm supposed to be the one help raising you and you don't trust me with this information? How can I trust you? How can I trust anyone?
Before, I'm closer to his side of the family.
These people are your family.
Yeah.
And so I understand how you feel, and you are right. It's not your fault. Now, Mr. Wright, I've asked Mr. White the same thing, but I want to know from you, when you got that call 2 weeks ago, what did you think?
I was shocked. I was very shocked.
And you had no idea, none.
No, young.
30 years.
30 years.
This is your daughter.
Yeah, this is my daughter.
So tell me about the relationship you had with her growing up.
Well, her grandmother called me, told me, you got a daughter. So when I got to the house, Her grandmother brought her down the steps. I grabbed her and held her. And she held me back tight. Ever since then, that's my baby.
Neither one of them are on my birth certificate. And I asked Mr. White. Mr. White said that he thought it was a possibility that I wasn't his child.
No, I didn't say that.
Uh-oh,
Maybe
now
I heard
we're lying.
No,
now
I didn't
we're
say
lying.
that. You always been my child. All 30 years. And I'll never say that.
Call her mom on the phone.
I look so much like his entire family. From my grandmother to my auntie, his entire family looks just like me. The freckles, everything. We just look so much alike, the nose. And oh wow, I never seen it side by side like that.
And you see a resemblance.
What are we looking at? They nose? They looking to see if they got a similar mustache? What are we talking about?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you see a resemblance, Mr. Wright, of this photo of Ms. Miller and Mr. White?
Yes, the nose.
This is
He said, yeah, the nose. That's the only thing in the picture.
Once I do find out the truth, I don't need their help. I will move forward and push to build a relationship with whomever it turns out to be.
So what happens to the other man? She just gonna turn her back on the other father? He been in your life for 30 years. Now what, he just supposed to pretend that never happened? He built a connection with you, lady. He built a connection and now you just gonna turn your back on whichever father ain't DNA yours? You're out of your mind. Where is her mother? Bring her mom out. We need to see where the mom at.
30 years old just to come stand here and seek your truth. I have to say though, this is one of the most amazing cases we've ever
Amazing.
seen in
This is
this courtroom.
disgusting.
I feel like Mr. Wright is my dad. But like my gut, my mind, everything is just like, it's in the air.
She not paying no attention to the other guy, bro. I don't know. She want that guy in the chair to be her dad, not the man standing next to her.
Are you prepared, Mr. White, for a negative result? If it's determined you are not her biological father, have you prepared your mind and your heart for that?
Yes, Your Honor. If it make her happy, I'm happy.
How about you, Mr. Wright?
She did not like that answer. Look at her face. Look at her. She start balling her face up if it make her happy. What you mean if I get happy?
How about you, Mr. Wright? Have you prepared yourself for a negative result? Do you believe there's any possibility you could not be her biological father? And if so?
That's my baby.
She's only smiling when he talking. She only want one man to be her dad that's biased. And she only went to his family for Thanksgivings and all of that. She ain't even give that other guy a chance to celebrate Father's Day.
Well, let's get to the results. Yes. They were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows.
Let's read it. I think Jerome the dad. Shut up.
In the case of Miller, Wright versus White, when it comes to whether Mr. Wright or Mr. White is the biological father of 30-year-old Miranda.
Look at what they did to Miranda. Look at what they did to Miranda. They don't want us to know the truth. They don't want us to know.
Court.tv to find your local listings.
Bang!
It has been determined by this court. Ms. Miller's biological father is Mr. White.
The one she didn't want.
I'm sorry.
Wait, I don't know their name.
It's all right.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I feel so bad for him. I'm sorry. Oh God.
Mr. Wright, I'm so sorry. I know that was not the news you wanted or expected.
Oh, it was him. Look.
Oh my God. Why? Oh, I do need to sit down.
Where is her mom?
Mr. Wright, are you okay? Can you just breathe?
No. 30 years. That's my baby. No matter what, she's still my baby.
Oh my God.
She's still my daughter.
That's life.
I'm sorry.
You're welcome. If you'd like to go down and sit, you may.
That's life, Chad.
See,
Why is she sitting with him? What do that got to do with anything? What are they doing now?
I'm sorry. This is so hard.
You came here today, Ms. Miller, because you needed the truth. But let's make one thing clear. That in no way changes
Okay.
the love you have for Mr. Wright, his family, the connection you have. This double life, this needed to end today.
It should have ended 30 years ago. It's a little too late now.
The big picture is you have two men that love you. One is your biological father, but both are your daddy.
Yeah.
Remember this. This was not your fault, okay? I wish you all the very best of luck. Court is adjourned.
They did a terrible job not getting a hold of that raggedy ass mom. The mom should have been there. The mom really should have been there. That's what should have happened.